What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Steve's Random Stuff. Today is part 3 of this 3-part series for the Redwood Empire Bass Club tournament out on the California Delta this past Saturday, August 20th. Today I'll kind of go over the post-game wrap-up, how we did, what worked, what didn't work, and kind of overall tournament results. Just to start off, we got there about 5:15 or so in the morning, and we found out that there were 2 other club tournaments going off at the same time. So the parking lot was pretty crowded, a lot of boats, a lot of trucks. Anyways, we got everything ready. We got in the water, and we model out into the main channel out there with everybody else. And it's pretty crowded, a lot of boats. Like I said, there had been probably at least 25 boats total with all 3 clubs out there. So come daylight, just on part 2. First light came around and one of the clubs took off and they did a shotgun start, which was kind of unusual, especially with that many boats out there. Their tournament director stood up and I'm not sure what club it was, but the guy stood up, said, "Okay, everybody, let's go." And everybody just took off different directions, going north, going south. And everybody who was sitting there in the water waiting from our club and the other club just kind of bobbed up and down. Hopefully nobody got swamped, but with that many boats taking off at once, and there had to been probably at least 10 boats that were taking off, you get a lot of big wakes that going on, and these guys are taking off basically right next to you. So not a good situation. Hopefully somebody lets them know. Like I said, I'm not sure what club that was, but not a good way to start when there's that many boats out in the water. But anyways, we'll kind of go over our tournament and how we did. Start off with the area that we fished. Like I mentioned previously, that we took the run, went up to the South McCollum River and up towards the mouth of Hog Slough is where we started. Kind of a really nice area. Had some good conditions, good grass, a lot of icanthus, some deep water access. So I think the conditions were right. There was a lot of bait in the water. We kind of had the area to ourselves for at least an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours. Didn't see another boat in the area for quite some time. So it was kind of nice. Got away from the crowds, away from all the boat traffic. And so we started out just throwing frogs, and Drew gets the first blow up within the first minute or so. I think really the first few casts on a white frog. And the fish kind of blew up, came out of the water, and just totally missed the frog. And it was kind of in some open water. So, we just kept fishing down the bank. I had a couple blow ups. I think Drew had a couple more. It seemed like the white frog was doing a lot better than the one I was using, which is more of a bluegill color, which I showed you in part 1. But it seemed like the white frog was really kind of getting a lot more bites. So something to keep in mind for future for the fall is to try that white one. But anyways, we kept fishing down the bank. Drew switched over to a Texas rig with a Yamamoto hula grub and caught the first fish. Not a big keeper, but probably like a 1 pound 3/4, 2-pounder. So kept going. We fished around that island at the mouth of Hog, a bunch more blow-ups, and then Drew gets a hit on his frog, and his rod loads up. The fish comes up out of the water and jumps and throws the frog. It was a good, probably a 3 or 4-pounder, really good quality fish, but it's just unfortunate that came off like that. But anyways, just kind of kept fishing in that area. Went across the river channel to the other side where there's some shallow grass, and I picked up my chatterbait, chucked it out there. As soon as I hit the water, I got hammered. Good quality fish, got it in the boat, about a 2-pounder. We just kind of kept fishing from there all the way up towards about like a 2.5-mile stretch up towards Beaver Slough, which was north. And we caught a lot of fish throughout the day between the 2 of us, probably about 20 fish overall, but unfortunately they were all small. I kind of reverted to just pitching my Sanshuo and the Tokyo rig and kind of alternating them back and forth. most of my fish that I was getting bit on was this anchuo. Using a kind of a green pumpkin color. I did switch to a watermelon red color and got some fish on that, but they're kind of just hitting the baits. We had a lot of bites that we missed, but I think those are all still smaller fish. But we just kind of worked up the bank. Drew catches his second fish. I catch my second fish. Like I said, we caught a lot of little fish, anything from like 6 inches up to 12 and a half inches. Just, couldn't get them to pass. But tried different baits, went back to some top water. I switched out one of my top waters to a popper, caught a couple small fish on the popper. The water quality up there was really good. The water temperature was 74 to 76. Clarity was decent, probably a couple feet or so. And we just kind of kept working all the way up the river. Had some grass areas, got some open water areas where we can throw crankbaits and other things, and rocky banks and tule areas and so on, and shaded areas from some big trees. So I really like that area. It seemed like it was a really good call to go up in that area. We just, like I said, just didn't get the bites that we needed. I think if we had a different tide, maybe that would be different. There were some large tree areas where they are overhanging the water, and we were able to cast underneath there. We did get some bites on there, and Drew hooked another good quality fish, I think, underneath one of the big trees. The fish took him directly under the trees and some logs, and he lost that fish. So that was, again, unfortunate. He had a couple really good bites that I think really would have helped him get close to his limit. Did talk to another boat up there, and they kind of said the same thing, a lot of small fish. So anyways, the day kind of went on. Came back to where we started about 11, as you saw in part 2, and tried some of the deeper water areas. We did mark a lot of fish down there, and kind of the 12 and 13 foot range off the break. So we tried to target those for a little bit, nothing. So we did head back in a little before 12. Got there a little early, so I decided to just go up to McCallamy River and fish some of those docks, just to kill the last 15-20 minutes of the day. And threw out my Tokyo rig, and right in front of a dock, and in a shaded area. It's probably about 15-16 feet deep out there, and line kind of just gets heavy. I set the hook, and I catch another 14 incher or so. Gets my third keeper in the boat, which really helped out overall, but just not the bite that we wanted to. Overall, like I said, we had 16 anglers in the club fishing. Nobody had a limit. The best was 4 fish, and that was Alex. He had not only did he have 4 fish, but he also had an 8.6 pounder, and followed that up with another kicker, 4.87 pound fish that he caught his punch in, and he was punching kind of the cheese mats. Where we were fishing, there really wasn't many cheese mats. A lot of them are just like little small ones, but pretty much everything was hyacinthus or grass in that area. But found out later that they were fishing kind of some of those heavy cheese mats and punching through that stuff into some deeper water and catching some of those fish. But he had 4 fish. Total was just shy of 16 pounds. A really good bag for him. And so congratulations to Alex for not only a big fish of the tournament, but for the big weight. There was another guy with a guy, Frank, who was a guest of one of our club members, and he had a 4.88 pound largemouth, also a good quality fish. I think he finished in 3rd place. With his bag. I forget what the total weight was. I didn't write that down. But anyways, my 3 fish only weighed a total of 4.55 pounds, but that gave me a 5th place finish. So respectable overall. Probably get some decent points out of it for Angler of the Year standings. But anyways, that's kind of how the tournament went. We came in kind of after the other clubs. They came out at noon, and so because we blasted off a little late, we got the other clubs went before us. We came in a little after 12, so got off the water. It was really getting hot at that point. And time we left, it was after 1 o'clock. I think time we left the boat ramp, and it was probably pushing 100 degrees out there. So hot weekend. Nice to get out there early when it was still fairly cool before the heat set in. But as far as baits we used, Drew was basically throwing a Texas rig with the hula grub on it, and caught most of his fish, I think if not all of his fish, on that in the grass areas. Because the tide was outgoing, and even by 11 o'clock it was still fairly low, although it had started moving in at that time. We were fishing the outside edges of the grass and some of those grass clumps that are out there off the edge, and really wasn't much up on the bank as far as water, and so we kind of targeted those outside edges, and we, like I said, we caught a bunch of fish. There just weren't any quality. My baits, I primarily just use a Sanshuo on a Texas rig, and then I got one on the Tokyo rig, and that was with a flapping hog. Topwater really didn't pan out. Frogging didn't pan out. I got the one on the chatterbait, and that was probably just a random fish that was just sitting there. I happened to probably just cast it right on top of his head, and he hit it. Because I did throw that for quite a while. I just couldn't get any more fish. But that's kind of how it goes. The Delta can be tough at times. As a club, we don't fish it that much. I think maybe twice a year. So most of the guys who fish don't go out that area too often, other than pre-fishing for the tournament. So went into it blind and just trying to do the best we can, and sometimes you hit them, sometimes you don't. But anyways, that's kind of how the tournament went. Drew had his 2 fish, and he was only like about 3 pounds or something, 3.5 pounds. He was tied for 7th with one other person. So I think most of the people had just 1 to 2 fish, and then a couple of people had 3, and then of course, like I said, Alex had 4 with close to 16 pounds. But I don't know how the other clubs did. I didn't really catch the names of those clubs, or look those up and see how they did out there. But I heard there was another, like an 8-pounder caught in one and some other club tournament. But anyways, that's kind of how it went. That's a post-game wrap up. Next month we'll be fishing at Lake Berryessa, later part of September. So we'll do the same thing again. For that tournament, I'll probably get up there at least once or twice beforehand, because I really like fishing Berryessa. It's a good lake. I generally don't fish that lake in the summertime just because of the boat traffic and the recreational boaters. But as we get into fall and winter, it's a really good place to fish, and you can get some really nice quality fish, spots and largemouth and even the smallmouth. So anyways, that's coming up next month. Stay tuned. May even get back to Lake Sonoma and get an update out there. So anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you all next time. Take care.